What's up?
Yo, what is up, everybody? This is Headhunters live coming at you. Well, this beautiful Thursday, December 12th. My name is David Stephen Patterson. Everybody calls me DSP. And of course, I've got my beautiful co host. And yes, I'm including you in that beautiful comment, Neil. Hey, finally.
Yeah,
Finally.
that finally is right.
I'm just
You
kidding.
had to get it in before the end of the year.
So right over here we have Chris Wessel, best looking man in the biz, with his freshly coiffed hair. So welcome, Chris. How you doing today?
Doing all right. Doing good. It's gonna be a good show. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a great show. And of course, we have the godfather of the show right over here. We have Neil Lebovitz. What's going on, Neil?
How you doing? Thank you so much.
Put the cotton on your cheeks like Brando.
One side, by the way, he did it, and that was Marlon Brando's idea.
Yeah.
It looked like a bulldog.
Yeah.
There you are.
There
Carpe diem, my friend.
Well, guys, fantastic show for you today. Dean and Ben. Dean, I'm going to really butcher your name. Iacovetti?
Iacovetti.
Iacovetti.
Treat it, yeah.
Iacovetti. Well, it's misspelled. Iacovetti. Oh, that's embarrassing. I misspelled it. My bad. I'll change that. Iacovetti.
Well, but if you spelled it right, you just.
Well, it's going to be a great show because Dean Iacovetti actually started off as internal. So he was basically the Empire, and then he turned to the Rebel Alliance. He got turned, and he started his own agency firm. And we're really excited to talk to him today. But before I do that, I do want to mention to you guys, if you could, if you're watching live, please comment live down below. If you're watching the replay, comment replay. And also, if you could, like the show, share it with your friends. The more you share it, the more you like it, the more you engage, the bigger we'll get, and the more that we can share our pearls of wisdom to the outside world. So we'll talk about our beautiful sponsors before we get into Dean here. So first off, for those folks who don't know, I run a company called the Digital Headhunter, and we are a sales marketing consultancy / agency for recruiters, and we will help you build the entire sales and marketing system in roughly 30 days. And we're running a year-end special of 25%, but that ends on the 20th. There are literally 8 days left at 5 slots. Just had somebody sign up this morning. So now there are 4 slots available. So if you're interested, go to realdsp.me/bill. There's a 10-minute video explaining exactly what we do and a link to book a call.
And one of the most influential, we never talked about this on the show, one of the most influential platforms, according to, was it Luxo and their whole list?
That's right. That's right. I was included on Luxo's 2024 Trailblazer list, I believe it was. So thank you, Luxo. Right. In addition, if you are looking to get any sort of recurring revenue in your business and get out of that feast and famine, place it 1 month and goose egg the next month, bake a place the next month, goose egg the next month. That is a recipe for stress and for potential divorce. So if you want your wife to stay with you, just kidding. But if you want to get some recurring revenue in your life and actually ease out the stress, and you want to get into contracting stuff augmentation, but you don't want to deal with the headache of paperwork, workers' comp, funding payroll, insurance, bullshit that entails, go to backofficenow.com. That's Neil's company. And it's a very easy setup. It's a great platform. They take care of everything. It's a white glove service. It's the only back office company I recommend. And it's not just because I'm friends with Neil. It actually is a great company. So go check them out.
And I have used them, and they are awesome. So I'm a customer as well.
He's got an
excellent
hand on that one. I have used them, and they are awesome.
Chris, your check is in the mail. I tell you, Chris is a looker, but he can't act.
No. I'm just trying to read off the cards. Wait, what in the heck you got there, Neil?
I'm on the zero nicotine stuff, and it goes to show you what I quit vaping about 3 weeks ago. It goes to show you what a crazy habit it is, that because I was used to vaping on the show so much, I'm sucking basically flavored air.
Better than what used to be sucking.
Yeah.
You think like fume, or you basically suck air, but like flavored air or something like that. I've heard about it. Well, and one last we have the kit. So Neil and I have started a free recruiters only community where elite recruiters go to play. Go to the syndicate.chat. In fact, we have a free training session tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern in that platform, completely free, called Marketing Made Easy. If you want to participate, just go to the syndicate.chat. All right, guys. I'm about to bring Dean in, but I noticed my video is very choppy. Am I choppy to you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to deal with it. Hopefully,
Your
it
audio
goes
is
away.
fine. Your audio is okay. The video is just a little
Audio
choppy.
is
Your
fine.
audio
Just
is
my
fine.
my video. It stinks. All right. Well, anyway, let's bring on Dean. Don't worry. No one's going to be looking at me anyway. Dean is the star of the hour. So
The biggest beard in the room.
That's
Listen,
right.
there were so many plugs and intros. I didn't know if you guys were going to get to me today.
Well, we're actually out of time now, Dean. So sorry about that. But
We'll see you next week.
Well, Dean, great for you to be on. And just for the folks who don't know who you are, who are you? And let's dive right in.
Sure, yeah. So Dean Iacovetti, the proper pronunciation is Iacovetti. But I own a recruiting agency called Vanta Partners, and we specialize in really anything related to technology. But we become very quick friends with our clients. So they'll say, hey, you all did such a great job on this senior developer role. What about our, VP of sales or CFO or marketing? So we can really go anywhere within the organization. The only thing that I will pretty much turn down all the time is going to be anything clinical, like doctors or nurses. It's not my bag, and I'd rather turn you down than let you down. So we usually don't engage in anything clinical, but you name it in an organization, we could typically fill it, and we probably have filled it at one point or another in our careers.
I love the way you changed it to like a phonetic spelling below.
I want to make sure I get it right.
That's perfect. I'm going to start spelling it that way.
I'll change it back.
I love it. That's perfect.
I couldn't resist. Well, thank you, Dean. Well, so you've got an interesting story. So Chris, obviously you're friends with Chris. You've known Chris for a long time. In fact, you were once Chris's customer,
and vice versa,
or maybe John. But that said,
we prefer custom.
But seriously, yeah,
that's the word. That's the term we're using now.
Yeah, I forget how it works. But anyway, but that said, you got a really interesting story because you started off not an agency. You were internal, as I mentioned before. You were the Empire, right? And then you
started off wanting to be a lawyer
too.
I did. Do you want me to give you my spiel here?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I say this all the time. I've said this so many times. I grew up, on Long Island, very blue collar background. My father was a baggage handler for Northwest Airlines. My mom was a substitute teacher in our schools, and my parents always preached school. The more school you have, the better. Keep going to school. So my brother became an orthodontist, and I at the time was kind of like the black sheep of the family. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Towson University down in Maryland, a huge shout out, was the only school that I got into after high school. So I ended up having to go there. Graduated with a business marketing degree. Again, didn't know what I wanted to do. Graduating college, 21, 22 at that age. And I'm like, I have no freaking clue what is super exciting to me. So my dad said, go to law school. You love to talk and argue. Why don't you try that? Literally 2 weeks into law school, I was like, this isn't my thing. This isn't for me. But, again, you grow up in that old school mentality. You always finish what you start. So a few years later, a few $100,000 later, you graduate with these stupid degrees behind me here, law degree, master's degree. And I kind of stumbled into recruiting. My college roommate at the time, phenomenal individual, Jeff Martin. He's actually a big influencer on LinkedIn as well. Started working for a mortgage company, and he was putting, $20,000 checks on the kitchen table every month. And I'm like, dude, I'm a freaking law clerk. I'm making $15 an hour. Jeff, what the frick are you doing? And he's like, I started working for this mortgage company. This was in like 04, 05 with the refi boom. And I interviewed there, and they said, we're going to put you in the recruiting department. So it was a very boiler room-esque type of an experience. We literally worked from 9 to 9, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 on Friday, 10 to like 3 on Saturday. And we were beaten down the door to get back in the next day. It was just fun, exciting, super high turnover, super high volume, super high fast pace. And that was how I cut my teeth in recruiting. And I say this to a lot of my clients where at the time, Monster, Career Builder, Dice, these job boards were all the rage. And the person who kind of really showed me how to recruit said, can't have access to any of those. If you want to really be a recruiter for your entire career, you need to have your network be your net worth. So you need to meet people. And the term he used was kneecap to kneecap, belly to belly. So I actually had to meet everybody that I was going to place or clients that I was going to pick up. And that was how I really learned recruiting. Fast forward from there, moved to upstate New York, opened up a permanent placement division of an external agency. So I went from internal to external, did well there. And then fast forward a little bit more, a client of mine, Aprenda, Sinclair Schuler, one of my best buddies still to this day, had a platform as a service company. I placed 3 people there, and he literally grabs me. He's like, dude, no more. We don't want any more from you. I'm like, what do you mean? Aren't my people great? And he's like, yeah, you're costing me a shit ton of money. I need you internally because we're going to go through some hyper growth. I think they just got a Series A of funding. So we went through an A. I think I was the 25th employee, brought us to about 150. And we exited. And at the time, he said, hey, we're going to get acquired. Your role will be redundant as the VP of HR and recruiting. You got to start to look for something, outside of whoever's acquiring us outside of our company. So I started looking, and I couldn't really find anything that was an awesome match. I found something a little bit local in the capital region, but it was such a poor experience. I'm not going to name the company, but they're a larger, pretty well-known company in this area. I gave my resume to 3 people that actually worked in the company, a physical resume, gave it to them, walking into HR, never heard. I didn't hear, hey, your resume sucks. Hey, we're too busy. Hey, you're not qualified. I heard nothing. And I said, you know what? They're taking the human out of human resources. I'm kind of like my back's against the wall. What the hell am I going to do? Nobody was like my lifeline. Nobody was there to just listen to whatever shit I had going on that I wanted to unload on somebody and just be there to help. So I was like, I'm going to be that person. So I hung, as Chris puts it, I hung the Vanta shingle in late 17, early 18, and it was a damn rocket ship. From Aprenda, I had instant candidates. I had instant clients because a lot of these folks, once we got acquired, went off and started their own businesses. So I really was very lucky initially when I started, and that helped me, get the snowball going and get things running. And we've been at this now, 2017, 2018, so 6-7 years.
How did Dad like it at the time you gave up your degree?
He still is pissed at me and is like, yeah, you're not a lawyer. You're dead to me, son. So
when are you gonna get a job, Dean?
Team of lawyers is that if you don't like, I think he said if you'd like to argue, you should be a lawyer. It's more like, oh, you really love paperwork, kiddo?
Yeah,
be a lawyer. That's really what it is.
I said, Dad, listen, I place lawyers now, and I don't, pat on the back to myself, but I think I'm making a little bit more than some of them are, right?
Like to have your soul sucked out of your body on a daily basis. Go be a lawyer.
Well, listen, if you know my dad, that's what he really would want for his kids.
Yeah. Well, I get it. You want your kid to be a lawyer, doctor,
whatever. Typical Long Island Goomba wanting to brag about his kids, right?
Well, that said, starting the firm, one thing I've said a lot is that I know a lot of folks when they want to start a firm, they plan for years and they do all the spreadsheets and to get a business plan together and do this and that, and at the end of the day, you just got to started, like how you learn how to start a business by starting a business, not by thinking about starting a business.
Yeah, it's the execution part.
Yeah, it's the execution part. So just doing it and building the plan on the way down. So when you started, like, what was that like? Because again, your back was against the wall, so you had to do it. Like, what doubts did you have, or I guess what was going through your mind, right? Because obviously you've never done it
doubted
before.
myself at every turn, but then, my wife is a huge influence in my life, and she's very supportive. And she's like, "There's nobody better at this than you." And I'm not the only one telling you that. Like, people freaking tell you that. Just do it.
I told he was like, I don't know. Maybe I should just find a job. I was like, dude, you'd be fucking amazing at this. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. And then he just took off. And
so I'm going to coin this term or patent it. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't freaking know what I need to do. But I'm a non-entrepreneur. Like, I didn't want to do this, but I had to.
Well, all right. So let me ask you, Dean, how many pages was your business plan, or chapters?
Zero.
It was even like
Zero.
Wait a minute, but you have a successful business.
Actually, hold on. I think I have it in this
plan?
desk drawer. I'll literally show you what my original plan was. It's maybe even stapled to a piece of paper. Oh, it's in here somewhere. I'm telling you. It's unbelievable. It's like 1 page long. It's hilarious.
You spend more time on your beard than you did on your business plan.
No joke. This is my business plan. I'm not kidding. There's writing on here. I don't know if you can see it. This is it.
That is excellent.
Swear to God, this is it.
Yeah.
Basically on a napkin.
And there are plenty of 50-page business plans for businesses that never started. What does that tell you? Start your damn business.
Yeah.
Just start. Just do it. I mean, it's. I remember I started mine. I didn't. I started and I didn't incorporate. I didn't get a business bank account. I just started, trying to close deals. When I closed my first deal about 6 months in, I'm like, I better open a business bank account. I had to incorporate. So I, of course, obviously I don't recommend people do that, but yeah, there's nothing stopping anybody here watching this from starting a business. Dean did it with that little, like, it looks like a receipt.
Listen, I could forward this to whoever wants to see it and copy it.
That's excellent.
The lighting is screwing it up, but it's literally what police officers write their notes down on.
Yeah.
Well, you were like, because I remember at the time too, like when you did decide, like, all right, fuck it, I'm doing this. I remember you were up and running and out there like immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you were all over LinkedIn. You were talking to people. Like, you whipped up like a website real quick. We went out, came up with the Vanta name. And I'll actually point this out. There was another decent sized staffing firm locally that was going through a rebrand, and they were going to pick that name.
They paid an agency to come up with names.
And that was one of the names they came up with, but Dean had already registered and gotten out there. If he waited another day or two, probably they would have scooped it up. So I'm saying he just went.
Yeah.
It was funny when I heard about that, though, because I know that owner. We both know her well, and she was like, "Yeah, that was our first choice."
What does Vanta mean? Am I missing? What does that?
It's like really black, right? Like,
yeah, Vanta is a color. It's called Vanta Black. It's the blackest black on the planet, and it absorbs like 99.9% of light. So when you're looking at a 3D image, it actually makes it look matte, like 2D. And I was like, I think if I had my name on the company, no disrespect to anybody that has their name on the company, but for me, I wanted a national reach, right? I felt like I would have small timed it a little bit, like Dean and Partners or Iacovetti and Associates, right? So I was like, Vanta, it sounds fucking powerful. And then I was like,
easy to say, simple.
Yeah, like companies want to be in the black. Well, this is the blackest black on the planet. That's pretty amazing. And then I was like, value added national talent agency. And I was like, vast area network of talent associate. Like, I could come up with this shit all day. I was just like, well, it's going to play.
Did you have any partners when you called yourself Vanta Partners?
My partner is my life partner, my wife. She's number one on the list. But no, it was just freaking me trying to get out there. And, you sound bigger than you are at the time. And it was really cool. And here's another great quick story of how I stepped in shit to get more leads. I was probably a year or two into my company, and I kept getting these calls. Hey, congratulations. Great work. Emails. Can't believe you did that. That's so amazing. By like the third job order I got that week, I was like, listen, I'm not complaining for getting these. What do you mean, congratulations? They're like, yeah, we saw the article. Vanta partners with Google, but there's a company called Vanta itself. And Vanta partners with Google, and people were mistaking Vanta Partners for the company Vanta. I was like, let it ride.
Nice.
I had that with
Correct
my
them, I
last
see.
company, which was called Pinnacle. I had that happen where a large national technology company had somebody reached out and was like, "Hey, you're one of our vendors, right?" And I was like,
Can be.
"Yeah, sure." And I'm like, and then we had this whole conversation, and they wanted us to work on this, that, and the other thing. And I remember being, and we had, because my company named Pinnacle, there's a lot of Pinnacles, Pinnacle everything, right? And they literally were like, and I'm looking at my partner, I put on speaker, I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" And I was like, "Yeah, so let me do this before we get rolling. It's been a while since we've done work together. Can we update our agreement? If I send that over to you, can we just get that so that, we got all our ducks in a row?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I was like, I just literally stepped in shit just like you did. You're like, "All right, let's do this."
I didn't get that from business, but I get to this day people who think I'm Peter Lefkowitz. I went to one of your trainings at the ranch 20 years ago. Like the ranch? I don't think so.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Well, there's something. There's a room in Neil's house that he calls the ranch, but I won't go into the reasons for that. Let's just say that he breaks some stallions in there. But anyway, but I want to. Sorry, no, just kidding. But I got a story about speaking of names, my first. I've started 2 search firms. My first firm, we did SAP. That was my niche, and my partner and I back at the time in 2004, we named it Uber Inc. because SAP's German software, and we're thinking like Uber, like better. It's like a German word. And this is before Uber became a thing. And so in 2007, I think, or 2006, one of the two, I had an opportunity to buy Uber.com for about 10 grand, and I passed on it. So our website at the time was Uber SAP, and I passed on it thinking like, it's not worth it. I've got better use for the 10 grand. And there you go. I could have Uber.com.
What would have been worth? What would they have offered? A couple $100,000 probably.
God, probably at least, yeah. But missed opportunities. What are you gonna do?
It was knocking. DSP.
That's right.
So then, then it was just you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say, like, what about the next stages too, right? Like, it was just you grinding it out, and then but then you had to start adding team members and stuff. Like, how'd that go?
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just me initially, and like I said, it took off like a rocket ship. Luckily. And I quickly, probably 6-8 months in, I ran into the issue that everybody wants: too many job orders and not enough time or not enough me, right? So I started to think about what the hell am I going to do? Who am I going to hire? How could I unload some of this work? And Chris was not available. So I obviously had to move to my next best option. And I started to think, who's
dodged that bullet, didn't you?
Who's a good recruiter that I respect in the area, that's connected, that maybe has, not only the same connections as me, but different. And, this guy, Ryan, that we were just talking about, Ryan Burke, he actually ended up just leaving my company like a month ago, the son of a bitch. But no, we're still good buddies. I called him up and I was like, hey, I pitched my whole thing. Vanta, I was so excited. I was like, there's nobody's going to turn this sucker down. And he's like, hey, man, listen, no offense, but I'm not leaving this billion-dollar company, Tech Systems, to go your shitty little one-man shop. And I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of just recruited him for 6 months. And I broke him down enough for him to finally say, all right, let's go get a coffee. We got a coffee, and he started 2 weeks later. And that was in May of 19. And he just left last month to go to a VC company. So we're 5 recruiters still strong. We got a little bit of a back office, but now that I know the boss here, I got to start to explore maybe taking some of it off my plate.
For sure.
So yeah, one hand might wash the other.
I could do better.
Well, I'll tell you what, Neil is available to wash anything you would like. But beyond that, I again cannot recommend Boss. That's that acronym Boss enough. Great company. Great company. Yeah, everybody I've worked with, my clients I've worked with backup talk great about it. Sorry about that, Neil. Was that
a good handful of guests have come over to Boss?
Yeah,
like it's just such an interesting way of meeting people, which is what we've talked about. You know,
Yeah.
there's something of a strategy in your podcast to get someone where you know they have business that you can use, and they become such a great cold call.
Yeah.
Cold call.
It's an easy cold call, right? Exactly.
All right, so let me ask you this. So one of the big things that recruiters tend to rely on is, especially they work for, say, like a big company, like Tech Systems, for example. They're big company's brand, right? That you kind of you're riding on those coattails of the big brand that you work for. But if you go out and you do Vanta, well, Vanta is like, no one knows who the hell Vanta is. No, they may know who you are, but you've got no business, no clients, no candidates, no placements, no track record. How did you like establish that credibility?
I take an overly honest approach, and I say, listen, I just started my company. I'm trying to make some waves. I'm trying to really be, as good as I can be. In fact, my first client was, we go back to law. This is odd. My first client was Rit Cerencione at the time it was McNamee Lochner, a law firm in upstate New York that got acquired a couple of years ago. And my parents were putting their home in a trust for my brother and I. We were going to sign the paperwork. And Rit goes, "Hey, Dean, everything great. We're here to sign the stuff. How's Apprenda going?" I'm like, well, oddly enough, we got acquired. Today's literally my first day of opening my own business, Vanta Partners. Do you have any job orders? And he's like, I kind of do. Our firm admin of 30 years or however long is leaving. And you won't be able to fill it. It's pretty much an impossible role to fill, but you're a contingent firm, so let me open it up to you. Good luck. I filled it in 2 weeks. With a person that was in the same building as McNamee Lochner. They had no idea that there were other firms in the building that I cold called into, and I said, "Who's your firm admin? Hey, are you looking?" And they said, "Let's take a shot." So, I mean, I'm that guy. Again, going back to my experience in the mortgage industry, our CEO, who is an absolute maniac, fantastic individual, he said, "You come back with a job order, you come back with a candidate, or a police report for harassment. One of those is what you need to come back with." So I don't stop, right? I'm definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed, but no one's going to outwork me. Nobody.
That's Neil's approach on that's Neil's strategy on Tinder.
Come back with the police report for harassment
today. We'll have to find out about what's going on with your weekend and whatever.
It's a very packed weekend.
Now we do have a question from the audience. A couple questions actually. I want to catch this one first, then from Gail, then we'll do the one from Jitendra. Gail asks, "How did you cover salaries right away when you hired the new people?" What I think she means, and hope I can clarify, is obviously when you're new, right, and you want to bring somebody on, like you don't have a lot of resources, right? So how did you sell it? Like you know what I mean? Like, did you sell it? Did you get them salary? Did you get commission? How did you sell the opportunity?
Everyone wants to do, hey, let's start it out slowly. Let's come on board 100% commission. We'll see how you do for the first 3 months. If that's good, then we'll bump up your salary. In my opinion, people have found success doing that. You have to be full-fledged right off the rip. So I said, "Ryan, what are you making?" He gave me a number. I said, "All right, I'm going to give you whatever, 10% raise." And I was fortunate enough to have that money in fee collected already to be able to float Ryan for, it was at least 6 months at the time. If Ryan didn't cover his cost and if I didn't cover my cost in 6 months, we were dead in the water. We would have to, go get a loan or, beg the friends, family, and fools, right? Help us. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that. So in my opinion, again, people can do it differently. I wanted him excited about coming to work. I didn't want to have him worried, because that worry comes out in his pitches about Vanta to try to pick up clients. That worry comes out in his pitches to candidates to try to tell them about an opportunity that we have. So I wanted him very comfortable. Hey, we have these opportunities. So I gave him a very good salary right off the rip, a very fair commission structure, partly on the client side, which is dealing with companies that have the job orders, and then partly on the candidate side, which is the people that enter the job with the client, right? Because there's two sides to recruiting. It's a very unique sale, as I'm sure you guys know. But yeah, so I came right out paying Ryan a full salary. It wasn't a draw. It wasn't, 100% commission. To me, that really doesn't work initially because you're kind of always looking for something else that will potentially pay you that salary.
Yeah, you want
Well,
them committed, but you got to be committed too.
Yeah,
Well,
let's both have a little bit of skin in the game, right?
Jeff
Speaking
Jeff
of
K.
skin, boss, did you want to jump in there?
Well, Jeff K. Had so Jeff K's one of my mentors in the business. I've known for years and years, and he has this concept. I'm going to kind of butcher it, but he talks about if you're, let's say you're an owner and you want to hire, he said, take, I don't know, 40, 50 or whatever, but take, let's say 50, take 50K, put it into your hiring fund. And that's apart from your operating fund in the bank. Then when you hire, you pay them out of that fund. And then anything they produce, that goes back into the fund until you hit that 50K again. And then it go back into your operating funds. Now, granted, it's all the same money, but at least it kind of gets you in that mindset where you've got that squirreled away, and then they fund it back as they start closing deals, and you can use that to hire more additional people. So that's a good point you make, because if it's just you and you got to offer something more, because otherwise there's so many other opportunities for recruiters right now, and there always are. They're going to look for something else, right? They're always looking over their shoulder, and that's not what you want when you are hiring your first person to help grow your business.
Yeah, exactly. Again, Chris said you want them bought in. You want them, again, very excited to be a part of the team. And that's what I tried to do with every single hire. Everybody on my team makes salary, and everyone on the team makes commission.
How many people do you have?
He feeds them too. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's say he's got 5. He's the rainmaker. He's the one who feeds them all. I mean, I don't think you had them going after some client business, but if I recall correctly, you were the lion's share of the business development is you.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to call any client that they want. Anybody in the country. We don't say, hey, your territory stops, East Coast, you do Central, you do Pacific. We're open anywhere. But yeah, for the most part, I initially brought in most of the clients. You guys fill these roles.
Hey, I have a recruiter for you that I'm working on, no fee, quid pro quo, but we'll talk after the show. I definitely have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
We have another question from Jitendra Rao. Top 5 strategies for recruiters in this current market situation. So I guess we'll kind of simplify it. Not necessarily top 5, but how should recruiters, in your mind, approach? I think it's going to be a hiring boom personally, but how should people approach the coming market in 2025? What is your best advice?
For me, I think it's going to be a good year, right? You see these cycles, you see these trends. You mentioned in the intro of the show, feast or famine, right? Lots of hires one month, zeros the next month, right? And that's a lot of what we all experience, those ups and downs. The ideal way to be in recruiting is to kind of smooth it out, but on the upswing. For me, again, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I equate everything to numbers. If I'm down, I make more calls. I reach out more. I always tell my people the number of callbacks, the number of washback that you get is a direct correlation to what you put out, right? This shit just doesn't come and happen. There are clients that you're just going to get to you by happenstance, like that Vanta thing, Vanta Partners with Google. But for the most part, you have to be the one out there making those calls, doing the reach out, doing the follow-up, doing the this. So for me, it's just be as bullheaded as you can. For me, there's no hours in the day. My texts and messages and phone calls and emails, whatever communication you're using, starts at 6, 7, 8 a.m. And I'll do it all night. If my wife isn't like, dude, shut it off, I'm addicted. I love it. The feeling is great for me. So just be bullheaded and keep going. That's my strategy. It's not rocket science. It's just keep freaking making calls, keep reaching out.
Well, the thrill is in the chase, right? Like you're a hunter. I mean, obviously you want to eat well too, but man, part of this reason why this business is so great is part of the thrill is just being in the hunt. Like lions enjoy hunting, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you virtual or brick and mortar?
Both. So we use a shared workspace. Initially, it was at a Troy Innovation Garage, which was fantastic. And then we moved to Hangar in Clifton Park. So our team gets together typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday's a little bit more relaxed, work from home. Fridays, we're always from home. A lot of old school mentality in recruiting, especially like coming from a Robert Half or that background, which I was a part of initially as well, is, you don't sit in your seat until you've made 15 calls. If you're not here by 9 a.m., you're not working. If you're not still here by 5 o'clock, you're clock watching and ready to go. My mentality is very different from that. There's people that work harder at certain times, right? So think about, we're all tech recruiters. We all recruited developers. There's some devs that don't get up till 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. They get working at 11, 12, but instead of them being a 9 to 5, they're working from 11 to fucking midnight doing more than what you would allow them to do in their 9 to 5 if they had to go somewhere, right? So as far as brick and mortar or virtual, we could do our jobs from the moon, and I try to empower my employees to be able to do that. Granted, when the cat's away, the mice will play kind of thing, but then you're probably not hiring the right people if you need to watch them all the time.
Yeah, there's a buddy of mine who has a like a decent sized firm. I think maybe 10 or 11 recruiters, and he has a unlimited vacation policy, because basically in essence, like you're in business, you can take as much vacation as you want, but you got to hit this number. This number, you can come in, leave. I don't give a shit what you do. You got to hit this number. And he's been doing that for years and loves it, because, yeah, you're right. It gives him the freedom, the opportunity. And it's also a good selling point, right? If you want to hire in great people, right, who like having that freedom, it's a great selling point. And yeah, as long as they're hitting their numbers, as long as they're producing, why not?
Yeah.
The recruiters were kind of like gunslingers, right? And you got to treat a gunslinger like a gunslinger wants to be treated.
Yeah, I've encouraged a lot of my clients to move away from what they call the unlimited vacation policy to a minimum vacation policy, right? Because a lot of the times, especially in tech world, developers feel awkward if no one else is taking off. So I encourage them to say, hey, if you're comfortable giving 3 weeks vacation, your employees have to take 3 weeks, or they have to take 2 weeks, whatever your minimum vacation policy is. That's what you should do instead of the unlimited, right?
Interesting. I like the concept. Well, let me ask you this. Going back to the start of your business, obviously you're 7-8 years into this thing. So like you're pretty well established, right? And you're on a great trajectory. But I have to imagine when you first started, there are mistakes that you made that you wish you can go back and change. So hopefully the folks maybe who want to start their own firm this year can learn from that. What were your mistakes?
There's mistakes made every day. And in recruiting, you're literally doing the most complicated sale on the planet. And the reason I tell you that is because you're in the business of people, right? If you're selling this highlighter, you could just go to Office, Max or whatever, and sell your highlighters. The highlighter doesn't need to be happy that it's there. It doesn't matter. It's an object. People have free will, right? So I'm not saying selling people, but you're putting people in a position at a company, but then, so the company has to like them, the hiring manager, all the people involved, but then the recruit, the candidate, the person actually getting the job has to do what they're going to say and show up on day one and be excited about the opportunity. So it's that very difficult two-sided sale. What I would do different if I could go back, I think one of the things that really sticks out most to me is, it might be hard to do initially, but you should really set yourself up with great freaking tools, right? Don't use an Excel spreadsheet for your candidate applicant tracking system. A phenomenal recruiter in the industry by the name of Chris Wessel, when I was first starting, told me about Cats One, and I bought it right from the beginning, and I still use Cats One, and I freaking love it as my applicant tracking system as well as my CRM. So
I went over to his office and showed him how to use it, because I was like,
I would invest in the tools to be successful as much as you can right from the start. This Loxo thing, I don't know about it, but I hear it's phenomenal. LinkedIn Recruiter, you absolutely need it. Maybe Zoom Info, I'm hearing a lot about. So a good computer, a fast computer, a mouse, multiple monitors. These things seem very simple, but if you're working off one screen with your fingers as your mouse pad mover, you're creating inefficiencies and putting yourself behind the game right from the get-go. invest in awesome
even-
shit right off the bat.
Even small things like for me, it's dictation. No jokes, Neil. Not now. But dictation. So I use my microphone here, and instead of, because you know, as a recruiter, you type all the time. I just talk what I want into there, and it dictates. I use Super Whisper for that, or use an AI or ChatGPT to create content. Yeah, I think there's so many tools nowadays. There's no excuse that to be sitting down for 15 minutes writing down an email when you could have dictated it. There you go, Neil. Right. And so, yeah, you're right. Tools are important. I will say, on a little side note, by the way, I just signed up for Signal Hire for my company. Signal Hire is a great tool. Probably some of the best contact information I've seen. Signal Hire. So they're not a sponsor, but
and to your point,
great.
Let's say, and I use Zoom Info, Dean, and I got through a friend of Neil's who had a really good deal on it. So we can always chat about that too. I think that deal's still going. So yeah, there's some good tools out there.
Yeah. Find out what.
But I mean, that's also what I was saying. Like, he was building the ship while he was flying it too. I mean, there's you know, he got up and just took off and just started going, and to an extent, like, you know, some of the tools and other things come later, right? Like, if you spend too much time planning all that structure in the beginning, that, to David's point earlier, you don't get going. You spend too much time planning. So I think it's just a natural progression, right? You just get up, start moving, start billing, so you have some money to work with, and then fine tune.
Well, you know, I will say this for the folks that are just starting, they're on a budget and they want to really squeeze out every bit of value they can out of all their pennies. AppSumo, so Sumo, like the sumo wrestler, appsumo.com. It's easy to get addicted, but you can go there and find some really good, like, lifetime deals. And so, you know, and there's some tools I use now that might normally cost me a couple $100 a month that I have a lifetime deal on completely free, except for maybe the $50 I paid for it a few years ago. So if you're looking for some cheap tools, AppSumo is a great place to go, but it is very addictive. So be careful on that side.
Let me ask you this, Dean. I know this is a topic that comes up a lot with recruiters, as far as like business development strategies and kind of what has worked for you and what you think will continue to work. Like, do you do NPCing? Do you have, like, what's worked for you over the years best?
Yeah, MPC has worked. It's a little bit few and far between. For us, that stands for most placeable candidate, right? So sometimes as a recruiter, you'll talk to a candidate and you're like, holy shit, this person's amazing in whatever industry, right? So what I would do is I would call or go on Google, type in, you know, companies looking for a React developer. I'm making this up, right? What companies are looking for a React developer? Go to your LinkedIn, see if you know anybody at that company. If you don't, who's a second connection that can make an intro? So you try to do as warm of an intro as possible, but I go back to being as upfront as possible. And I do that in all of my LinkedIn emails and intros. And it's, you know, sometimes my heading is, yup, another freaking recruiter email. Here it is. And my first line is, I can't believe you read past the subject line. Thank you for doing that. My name's Dean. And I just go into my, you know, mini spiel, or what they call now the TLDR, right? And that funny, just, yup, another freaking recruiter email, just kind of, all right, what's this, you know, knucklehead got to say? So it kind of just hooks somebody.
Don't be afraid to use humor. It's a great great piece of advice. Humor works wonders to break down barriers, and because so few people are comfortable doing it, when you do it and you do it well, it works great. To get in the door.
Yeah, I spend a little bit of time. You can't do it if you're doing it at volume or at scale, really. That's why we're still kind of small. But I'll spend time looking at a client contact within a client, their profile, and, oh shit, you went to Towson, so did I. Oh, you know, you went to South Carolina. The Gamecocks are a great team. You know, so I try to just get in with them with some familiarity, right? There's some common ground. It's a lame thing to do, but it's very effective, right? It's just trying to create that common ground. And many times for me, it's with humor, because I'm sometimes humorous.
Well, look, at the end of the day, you know, it's like going to, and I'm kind of crude, but it's like going to a gentleman's club, right? We all know that interactions, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, what is that? But But when someone shows interest in you, or seems like they're genuine, you kind of cut through that sort of like feeling of this is all sort of fake. At the end of the day, the prospects know you're trying to sell them. They get that, but you're being human. Maybe a bad example with a bad example, but you're being human. You're showing they actually did some front end work. I saw that you went to blank score. I saw that I like this about your profile or whatever it is. And I think being that authentic I think is a big piece of it. And you seem like the kind of guy who's very authentic with his outreach.
Yeah, people buy from people they like, right?
Yeah.
There's, you're at home and there's people coming to sell you lawn services. Are you gonna, lawn services might, do the same thing. They cut your lawn, right? But are you gonna give your business to the guy that comes in? Oh, it's fucking another sale over here, or someone that says, "Oh, your beautiful Bermuda fescue." I don't know. I'm not really good with grass or lawn care. So you have beautiful fescue. I'd love to be able to cut it, and really cares about what the hell your lawn looks like, right? Even though they might not give a shit, it's just their pitch. I'm more inclined to give it to somebody who shows a little bit of interest, right?
A beautiful fescue. That sounds kind of creepy, sir.
David, you are
beautiful
like boiling with testosterone today. Do you remember Bugs Bunny when he was really hungry on the island and one guy turned into a hot dog and the other guy turned into a hamburger? One of them turning into a penis and the other one's turning into a vagina. You got to stop.
Which one am I?
I'm not going to say. Well, with your hair, I'm going to go with vagina in the 70s.
All right.
Oh my God! I think this is a good segue to end the show.
I'm ready.
Getting off the rails here.
Yeah, sorry.
Are you sure that's only water vapor you're sucking on over there?
It's David. It's David today. I'm just like,
it's always me. Well, that said, Dean, I guess we do have to wrap things up. So let's wrap it up here. One final question for you, and this is something that maybe you can lead to all the folks who are thinking about starting business this year or doing their own thing. What is your final piece of advice to them right now, heading into 2025?
My final piece of advice would be believe in yourself, bet on yourself, right? You put a lot of maybe time into working at other individuals' agencies, or if you can, right? If you can bet on yourself, if you have that ability. It's difficult when you're first starting out, but don't stop, right? You kind of need to measure business, especially recruiting. I'd say at the very least time limit from year to year, because it's going to take you a little while to build it up. Some businesses you could check in like month to month or quarter to quarter. Recruiting's really not like that. I'm placing candidates now that I met in 19, right? That's 5 years ago. I'm not placing candidates that I met 2 months ago, right? So it really just depends on timing. Just keep freaking at it and bet on yourself is my best advice.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dean. I really appreciate having you on the show. It was fantastic. You were a very fun guest. And I apologize in advance for Neil.
Yeah, Neil was calling me a mushroom before because I'm a fun guy.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
geez. Don't put that one to me.
All right, guys. Well, that said, thank you everyone for watching the show. One last thing. Don't forget, Neil and I have a special training tomorrow for free, Marketing Made Easy. It's in the syndicate.chat. Free for anybody that joins. It's going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Also broadcast it in the groups. We're going to broadcast it in David's group tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're also going to broadcast it in the Herc. That's right. Forget about that. Thank you, Neil. In addition, if anybody's interested in a back office staffing solution or provider, go check out backofficenow.com. Of course, you're looking to build out your sales and marketing machine, complete done for you system, 25% off. We have only 4 slots left to the end of the year. Actually, the 20th, excuse me. Go to realdsp.me/build. And that's about it. Guys, thank you very much. Dean, it was a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, pleasure, Dean.
Thank you,
all right,
everyone.
everybody.
Appreciate your time.
All right. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.